Welcome back to the channel, where every camera tells a story and every encounter is measured against the law. Today's video comes from Reggie Photo. Link below. Go show them some support. Watch till the end for the full breakdown. And don't forget to subscribe for more real encounters and legal analysis.
How are you?
Alright.
Yeah. Sorry? Why, sir? Oh,
Just stop there.
Why am I being detained?
Yes, you are being detained.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What for?
Just because I just want to speak to you and find out who you are.
Oh, I'm obliged.
Well, I'd just like to know what you're doing.
What section are you detaining me on?
You're outside a police station.
Am I free to go?
Pardon?
Am I free
Not
to...
at the moment, no.
So you're detaining me?
Yes, because I want to know who you are.
And what section of the law are you using?
Pardon?
What section of the law are you using?
Okay, I'm not being difficult with you.
You are?
I just want to know what you're doing outside a police station.
Well, I need to know.
Station.
It's fully transparent, sir.
Right. So, if you just tell me what you're doing...
Well, am I being detained?
It's fine.
Am I being detained?
Pardon?
The encounter escalates almost immediately when the auditor begins questioning why he's being stopped in a public area outside the station. What makes this moment important is that the officer appears focused more on the location itself rather than any clearly articulated criminal behavior. In UK public filming cases, merely being outside a police station does not automatically create reasonable suspicion, and that tension becomes the foundation for the entire encounter.
Am I being
Well, I
detained?
would like to know who you are.
Well, am I being detained?
Yes, you are.
Under what section of the law?
In section 1 of the pace.
Seriously?
Yes.
What, offensive weapons?
Pardon?
Offensive weapons?
Well, because I want to know what you're doing.
Well, what is it? Section 1 at pace. You've got to have a reasonable grounds.
Well, why are you being so difficult?
I'm not being difficult. I like to remain private.
Okay, but you understand where you are. You're outside the police.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to go beyond places that I'm not allowed to go.
I know. I understand that.
I've got a marker pen and a see-through.
But what are you doing on here then? If you just explain to me what you're doing on there.
Well,
you're looking through the gate and that.
Yeah, only looking.
Like you're looking at the vehicle.
Only looking.
Like but why are you drawing on that?
Well, it's fully transparent. That's all I can say.
Yeah, but what is it?
It's just a piece of perspex.
Yeah, but what are you doing?
I'm just writing.
Okay.
Drawing.
So why are you doing it outside the police station?
Well,
Now the conversation starts shifting toward offensive weapons and suspicion, but the justification still feels vague and reactive. The auditor repeatedly points out that drawing and filming in public spaces are lawful activities, while the officer seems increasingly frustrated by the refusal to provide personal details. This is where accountability encounters often become complicated, because suspicion must normally be tied to observable facts, not simply unusual behavior.
where else can I can go all over, can't I?
You can go home and do it if you want.
So anyway, am I still being detained? I'm still being detained.
It's the fact that you're doing it outside the police station.
Yeah, but you can. There's nothing against the law.
You must understand that. Come on.
No, because if it's illegal, then yeah. So right, am I being detained still?
Well, I'm not going to detain you.
You've just detained me under section 1 of pace.
Right. If you want to walk away.
No, I want to hang around here for a while, drawing.
Well, I'm not going to allow you to do that.
You're not going to allow me to draw?
No.
Seriously, Constable? Oh. Seriously?
Yeah.
On what grounds then?
For them?
So you're going to arrest me if I carry on drawing? On perspex? You said you're not going to allow me on a public street. I can be on this public street, sir. You know that. Come on. I will never go beyond gates where...
The officer suggests the man could simply go home and do it, but legally speaking, citizens are generally free to observe and document public buildings from public land. The auditor carefully explains he has no intention of entering restricted areas, which weakens the idea that he presents an immediate threat. At this point, the interaction begins feeling less like a safety concern and more like an attempt to discourage lawful public activity.
It says, at that gate, it says, no pedestrians beyond this point. I will never dream of going behind there. I will never dream of going beyond places.
Well, you tell me why you're doing this.
I like to draw in public.
Okay.
Yeah, and take notes of things.
Yeah.
Now, it's fully transparent, like I say. I have.
Look at it.
It's a piece of perspex. Of course you can look at it. And look through it if you want. There's nothing hostile in there. So when's the detainment over? Because time's ticking now.
If you want to go, then you can go.
Well, I want to stay as well. That's the difference.
Well, I don't really want you to stay here, do I?
But it's a public street. You can't say that.
Okay. But you within close proximity to...
Yeah, and that's the reason why there's a gate there. When anybody ever...
This section becomes critical because the auditor openly explains what he's doing and even offers transparency about his sketches and notes. Despite that, the detention-like atmosphere continues, with the officer repeatedly questioning behavior that appears odd but not necessarily unlawful. In accountability audits, courts often distinguish between suspicious conduct and constitutionally protected activity, and that distinction is becoming more important by the second.
2 people have come out and in, and I've never tried going when the gate was open. I wouldn't do that. It clearly says no admittance to the public.
It does.
So I've given you my word on that.
Okay.
On a public street,
Okay.
I've just been detained.
But you haven't really explained to me what you're doing here.
I don't have to. I don't have to account myself in a public space.
We're going around in circles here, aren't we?
Well,
So-
you've just detained me, sir.
Because I would like to know what you're doing.
And I've told you.
I haven't really given a reasonable explanation.
What, for drawing on a piece of perspex?
It's just a bit strange, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's a bit strange.
Well,
doing
I am a
that
bit
right,
strange.
right,
I really am strange.
Well, I don't think you're strange, but I think what you're doing is a little bit odd.
Yeah, but there's no law against being odd or strange.
Okay.
So you grassed me up for this.
What were
You
you
sent me there and I was doing nothing to you.
The tension really builds here when the auditor directly challenges whether he is legally detained and whether he is required to account for himself in a public space. The officer appears unable to clearly define the exact legal basis for the stop, while still attempting to maintain control of the interaction. Moments like this often become controversial online because uncertainty around police powers can quickly undermine public confidence.
What will you be doing? No, I didn't say you were doing anything.
I was just drawing, looking for it.
But we'd just like to know what the purpose of you being here was. And you've
And,
told us.
I'll tell you, it's nothing hostile.
You've told us. No.
You know.
Well,
But I don't. When's the detainment over? Because I'd like to freely walk around.
Well, yeah, you can get.
You know. So call number 4170. Are you based out of here, sir?
I am.
I will have to put a complaint in about this. You detain me on the section 1 of pace.
I have detained you, yes.
Yes.
While I speak to you.
You can't. That's not how it works.
To establish what you're doing.
So
here.
what grounds did you use section 1 of
If you
pace?
want to make a complaint, mate, you make a
No, I will. But I need to ask you
It's
what
all on
ground.
camera.
What grounds did you use
It's
to?
all on camera.
What grounds did you have to suspect for using section 1 of pace? You haven't even searched me. I've told you I've no offensive weapons on me or anything like that. Not a bottle of water. That's.
Now the conversation turns into a direct debate about Section 1 pace powers and whether there were genuine grounds for suspicion. The auditor pushes back hard, arguing that the officer cannot simply detain someone for being near a police station with a sketch pad. Legally, stop and search powers in the UK usually require objective reasoning tied to prohibited items or criminal indicators, and viewers can clearly sense the officer struggling to explain that threshold.
It.
Yeah.
But you use section 1 of pace. That's usually for offensive weapons and stuff like that.
Well, you are within close proximity to a police station, so I have reasonable suspicion, don't I? I could search you if I wanted to.
You could do. You might as well now. You've used section 1 of pace because it's still the same thing. You can't just stop me from going about a lawful act.
We can ask you under that section to stop an account.
Under section 1 of pace,
It's not necessarily stop and search.
Yes.
we're going to get run over here.
So I've stopped you and I've asked for an account, haven't I?
I remember you.
How are you?
Yes, he's an auditor. He's got a concealed camera potentially, and he spoke to me outside.
It's not because
The officer now claims proximity to the station itself contributed to suspicion, even suggesting a search could be carried out if necessary. But the auditor counters by emphasizing that all of his actions were openly visible and non-concealed. That's an important detail because transparency can weaken arguments that someone was acting covertly or preparing criminal activity.
sealed. It's clearly visible.
Oh, is it in your glasses?
Yeah, clearly visible. And there's no law against filming in a public space.
No, I didn't know that.
And you know I'm an auditor. You should tell these what I'm writing things down, which is not against the law. I won't go beyond any.
No,
You know that.
Lovely gentleman.
Yeah.
We had a lovely interaction.
But all I want to do is go uninterrupted in a public space. But he's just.
This is where the auditor finally identifies himself as an auditor documenting public interactions, and the atmosphere noticeably changes. The officer appears less confrontational once the purpose becomes clearer, even though the activity itself had been lawful from the beginning. Encounters like this often reveal how quickly public filming can trigger defensive reactions despite being protected activity.
Detain me.
We'll leave you to it.
Am I undetained now then?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. So 4170. Detained. Under section 1 apace. Not even searched. Anyway guys.
The detention effectively ends here. But the auditor immediately begins reflecting on how casually the stop powers were invoked. What stands out is that no search actually occurs despite repeated references to Section 1 authority. That contrast raises an important question. Was a detention genuinely supported by reasonable suspicion, or was it simply used to gain compliance?
That was the CID lady from one of the last videos. I want to make a point. See, he knows he's just messed up, doesn't he? So when that gate shuts, we're going. Detained. What? For a bit of perspex. 4170. Detained under section 1 apace, just while we speak to you. So now it works.
After the officers leave, the auditor breaks down the interaction and points out how contradictory parts of the stop appeared from his perspective. The mention of potentially being stopped again later highlights the chilling effects some citizens feel after police encounters like this. Whether intentional or not, repeated stops can discourage lawful observation and public accountability work.
But all that tells me now, guys, is I'm getting a tug in my car when I get back to it. She got back and really saved me bacon in a way, didn't she? She saved me bacon. I couldn't believe that. You could not write that, guys.
The ending leaves viewers with a strange mix of relief and uncertainty. No arrest is made, no prohibited items are found, and no criminal offense is identified. Yet the interaction still escalated into a detention debate outside a public building. That's exactly why these encounters continue sparking major conversations about proportionality, transparency, and the balance between security concerns and civil liberties.